Hello, welcome to Valley Cat Haven, which is our shelter. The organization is called PAWS Animal Welfare Society, Inc., but we named our shelter Valley Cat Haven, so it is one and the same. This is the building that we're going to tour today, and it consists of a building that we built in 2015 and one that the expansion that we have added this year. And we're still in the process of transitioning to having the whole building, and so there are some things that we haven't completely finished yet. Now, one of the things that I want to point out is that we are always, if we are only open a couple of times a week, on Saturday and Tuesday. The rest of the time the building is not, there's no one in the building unless we're here working and have an appointment with someone. The only people who can come into the building when it is locked and no one is here are people who are volunteers and have been vetted by us. They have either a key or they use our lockbox, which is here at the entrance to the building, and we have a special password that is shared with them, and we change that password every couple of months. So there is no easy entry unless you know of the password or have a key. As I mentioned, this portion of the building was built in 2015, and we used it for the last few years, and now this part is just going into operation now. I'd like to point out one of the things that we did with this expansion is that we added a solar panel so that would help us with the heating in the winters that we have here in northern Maine. We also have motion lights all around the building, and we have security cameras here on this older portion, and we will be getting more security cameras for the rest of the building. We have not had a chance to do that yet. So we're going to take you inside and explain what the operation is like and the workflow, and have you see some of the cats at the same time. Hello again. This little section is part of the older building, and it was our isolation room, and it served the purpose but was not really what we needed or should have, because it was the only entrance to the building, so everyone would have to go through this area. It also was very small, but it was an improvement over the facility we had before, where we had no isolation room. So anyway, this was our isolation room. Now it's going to be our office, and we're setting up some things to make it a true office with computers and so forth. And one of the other board members, and by the way, I'm a board member and I'm the president of the organization, one of our other board members, our secretary, is going to explain to you further about the office. This section and the section that I just showed you were made by the technology students in a nearby town, and they had already started the building, and so it had to be small, but it served as a prototype to see how we would do having our own building, and it's been very successful. As I said, we've had it for 2 years and it's worked fine. Now, when we had this only this section of the building and the other one, we had a lot of we had more kennels in here. We let the cats roam. It had turns to roam. However, we didn't have a lot of space. We have nice windows with the sun coming in, and we have cat seats on those windows, and many of the cats really enjoy that. Now it is used as an intake room, and it's for cats that obviously that we take in. We get calls about cats that are seen as homeless, and we focus on homeless cats, and we do take a few surrenders in if we are able to. Now so we're able now to have fewer kennels, because all the cats are not housed here, only the intakes. So we have fewer kennels, and we have a roaming schedule that allows each one of them to roam 2 or 3 times a week. So they are not always sitting in a kennel. Some of these cats not only haven't been examined yet, but they also don't get along with other cats. So that's one of the reasons they're in this room. We have a veterinarian that comes to the shelter every week, and she examines them. So they get examined pretty quickly after they come in. The most it would be a week. And she examines them, and she gives them vaccinations. She checks if there's any problems, and this is very helpful. And of course, we get rid of any parasites as quickly as possible too. So this is our original building, and it's still very useful for our intake room and fits much better. One of our goals is to have a washer and dryer, which we've never been able to have space for before, and that will go in these two corners over here, and we will have to rearrange the kennels a bit. As I mentioned earlier, we're still transitioning between the different buildings. I was speaking about the roaming schedule. You can see it here. This shows every 12 hours which cat is going to be roaming, so that the volunteers, when they come in, know they need, when they leave, to change to another cat. For instance, Oscar here, he's an all-white cat, was out for 2 years and was finally reported to us, and he gets to roam 3 times a week for 12 hours each time. If there were fewer cats in here, they will roam more. The cat today is Trixie. She's in this kennel, so we keep the door open so that she can go in and out of her kennel. She can easily wander around. She can go up in the window seat. She can do whatever she feels like. It's a limited space, but there are fewer cats here now, so she can still enjoy herself to a pretty good extent. We have scratching posts. We have things for them to climb on. And one of the things I did want to mention, if the cats have medication or have something that we have to monitor, we do have health records that we hang on the kennel and keep track of it. The original building, we had to have a rather modest bathroom facility. We needed to have a set tub so that we could wash things. Our building before this that the police department had let us use had no running water. It was really quite a treat to be able to get that. And having a toilet for people if they do need it. Now, we now have much more in terms of this sort of facilities, but the set tub is now used for cleaning the litter pans and keeping that sort of thing cleaned in here. Before, we had to try and arrange to have the litter pans cleaned in a way that there would be not bacteria going to when we wash dishes and so forth. We used a dish pan and we did this and that, but it was not ideal, and we're very glad now that we can use this only for the litter pan use. As I mentioned outside, we do have security cameras around the front of the building, and we plan to put some more around the newer part. And this is our camera that is always capturing who is out in the driveway and in the area, which is helpful to us. We once captured a situation where someone drove up and dropped some cats off, and we were able to track who did it as a result of that. This is our greatly expanded shelter that we're really thrilled about. It gives us so much more room for the cats. The cats are happier, they're more relaxed. They can come and go from kennels out into the room and have any number of things they can do, beds, trees, all that sort of thing, and fairly big sills for them to walk on the windows. They even have cushions over here that were made for us that they sleep in front of the window. They really have a very, very wonderful life here in this building. As a matter of fact, it's a home environment would be a very accurate thing to say. And we have made this state of the art. We have wonderful lighting. We were able to get a rebate from Efficiency Maine for that lighting. As you saw, there was a solar panel outside. We have a ceiling fan that is excellent. We have a heat pump here, and of course we had one in the older building as well, which keeps us very comfortable and the cats comfortable. We have exit signs over the doors that go outside. We have a mud room here. This is going to be our entrance from now on, because with the cats roaming, we couldn't have them roaming with a door that opened directly into the area. So it's a nice little room, and we made it large enough so somebody had, and also the people previously had to go upstairs to get to the older building, as you noted, and now they can come directly in at ground level. And it also is big enough so that if somebody, we took into consideration if somebody were in a wheelchair, that they would be able to turn around and get in the door, turn around and get in here. So that is what we call, it's actually our entrance or mudroom. The solar panel intake is, we do have a chair that was loaned to us. We hope to get a little bit more updated furniture, but right now the cats love it, and of course if they scratch it a lot, it doesn't really matter. But we're going to have a little seating area here so that people coming in to see the cats will be able to enjoy sitting down with them and so forth. And the whole purpose of this was really not to take in more cats, because we don't have enough manpower to come here. We have people clean the shelter in the morning and people who clean in the afternoon. And that takes, when we have a full capacity, when we're at full capacity, that takes a person a couple of hours. So the volunteer can't come in here and take care of 50 cats. We have to keep it at 15 or so cats all the time. So we've done very well at holding the line previously, and we will continue to do so. Yet we always seem to meet the needs that are out there. So we've done very well with that balancing act. We have community litter pans so the cats can use those, or they also have litter pans in the kennels. We don't have to have a kennel for each cat now, because they can kind of share kennels because they're not staying in there all the time. Again, we have lots of windows. We even have a window, we'll be seeing in a minute, the isolation room. We have, by the way, I want to mention that we do have these lights that go on in an emergency. So we have one of our cats demonstrating one of our rather unique beds that's on the window here. We now have a separate kitchen, which I mentioned earlier we had to combine up in the other building. We have a nice two-section sink. We have cabinets where we can store things. We don't have all the storage space we want yet. We hope to have another cabinet to hold the food and other different things, but we're getting there. We're trying to get them and not have to pay top dollar for them, but have them in really good condition, and we've been able to do that. These were made very nicely by a local company, Home Solutions. Now, one of the things I should mention is that we had a local carpenter build us what you call a catio, which is it's fairly good size, and probably 3 or 4 cats could sit out there at a time. It is not completed yet because we need to get a proper roof for it, which the person really didn't have what we thought was adequate that built it. So we're in the process of fixing this, and it's really quite hot out at this time of year anyway. Hopefully in another week or two they'll be able to go out and sit there and get some fresh air without it being too hot. So we have our refrigerator here, we hope to have a cabinet, we have our sink. All of this is very convenient for us now. Next we're going to talk about the isolation room, and this is really a proper isolation room, and for a lot of reasons this is great. It's great for us, and it's great for the cats, and it certainly will prevent transmitting of any diseases and so forth to other cats, which is very vitally important. So go in here. Now this is the isolation room. We only have 1 cat in the isolation room right now. We found a very nice cabinet, secondhand cabinet, that we're able to store blankets and so forth in, and this is the type of thing we're trying to find for our facility, so we don't use money we don't have to use. So we put a window in so that there could be viewing by the public if they wanted to see the inside of the isolation room. Our little tenant right now is named Sprinkles, and she has had some upper respiratory, and we're treating her for that. And I want to point out that there are three kennels here. and they're very closed in, and that makes it very good for the purpose that they're serving. It's not particularly pleasant for the cat because they can't see as much, but when they're ill, we just have to have them separated out. And she is now able to roam because there's no one else in here, and she's still being kept from the other cats, and she can go in and out of her little kennel. Now, one of the things that really was terrific about being able to do this is we now have the sink and the drawers and the cabinets for just the isolation room. So when we come in here and work with the cat, and we want to wash up, we can do that right here. We also have the water and the things to wash the kennel, but so that we can keep any germs, of course, here and get rid of them versus bringing them somewhere else. We have the building. This room opens up to the outside, so that so we can take any cats that would be ill directly into this room and not take them into the rest of the building, which is an important feature. And we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have Dr. Swanson, who comes once a week, and she can set up some of her equipment. She has a microscope, and she has some other things that we now have room for her to set up with. In the old isolation room, there was almost no place for her to do that. So she can have some of her tools and her equipment here. In addition to Dr. Swanson, who comes here weekly and is a traveling vet, we use Dr. Ewell, who has an office just a few doors down from us, and because she has a facility, she's able to do the surgery. So all the spaying and neutering, the teeth cleaning, the tests are done with Dr. Ewell, whereas Dr. Swanson can do the vaccinations, the examinations, if they need fluids, if they need some kind of medicines. Dr. Swanson can easily take care of that, but she does not have a place where she can do surgeries and so forth, or attendants that can hold the cat while they're doing tests. So we use both of these veterinarians, and it works out very well. We're going to go back into the original building and go back to what was our isolation room and is now our office. And Connie would like to talk to you about some of the plans she has for being fully operational in the office.
Hi, I'm Connie Michaud. I'm a board member of PAWS. I've been here since the inception 10 years ago, and I take pride in our work here, that what we've accomplished. This is our new office space that used to be our isolation room. We've managed to get a computer that I donated with a monitor, tower, and keyboard, and one of my friends donated a scanner, printer, photocopier, printer that will facilitate the office work in this area. We're also collaborating with the University of Maine at Fort Kent to use their internship program. We have the opportunity to interview some of their students, and we'll be able to choose an intern that will come here and make use of our software. We have Microsoft Office that we'll be using, and we have a program for generating Photoshop for photographs. We also have an open source program called Animal Shelter Manager that we'll be using to facilitate our workflow and make our work more efficient. We hope to organize 10 years of data that we've accumulated to facilitate writing grants and not having to recreate the wheel every time we want a new publication, especially on newsletters and flyers and stuff like that. That will help us out a lot. So I think we're looking forward to working with that intern and helping the university and us collaborate.
We'd like to introduce you to some of our cats. This is our intake room, and this is Simba. And Simba is a lovely little boy. He has wonderful coloring. He's going to be spayed on Wednesday, and he is very friendly, and he was abandoned in an apartment building, and someone else found him and told us about it. So he's under a year old. This is Cammie, and Cammie is an older cat. She's 12 years old. She was the only pet of an older woman who unfortunately just died of cancer. And so this is a challenging cat for us to find because she's older and she's used to being with somebody and not being around other cats. So it's rather traumatic for Cammie to have to do this, but she's doing pretty well considering. She's definitely doing pretty well. Up here we have Oscar, and as I mentioned earlier, Oscar was hanging around in Fort Kent and people had been seeing him for the last couple of years, but no one had called us. He'd already been neutered, so he obviously belonged to somebody. He's a very nice cat. We brought him up to date on his shots, and we're also going to get him a nice home, a home he deserves after being left without one for so long. This is Kit Kat, and he is having some medication because of a parasite, but it's under control. He's not allowed to roam because of that, but it isn't something he can transmit unless he comes in contact with other cats or uses the same litter pan. And then this is a new cat that we just took in that was found and assumed homeless in Eagle Lake, and the woman brought him in on him or her, we don't know yet, on Saturday. She's in excellent condition, and she's very unhappy that she's in this situation. It's tough on cats to have to not know what's going on like this. This is Trixie. We mentioned her earlier. She's the one who's roaming today. She's enjoying herself. Unfortunately, she's a beautiful cat. She's only about a year old, but she does not like other cats. She's very antagonistic towards them, and we're going to have to put her in a home where she doesn't have other cats to contend with. One of the things we do is if when somebody gets the cat home and it doesn't work out because they have other animals that it doesn't work out with, for whatever reason, we will take them back. As a matter of fact, if their circumstances change even years after, we will take the cat back. We want to make sure that they end up in a good home rather than being passed around. So we really are loyal to our cats and making sure that they get where they need to be, even if we have to try more than once. This is Ruby. She's camera shy, but she's a sweet little cat, and she's quite little. She's recently come out of the isolation room because she now no longer has URI, and she's spoken for us. Someone's waiting for her to be spayed, and that will be done the end of this month. This is Romeo. He's figured out that this is a nice bed, and he's lying in it. He's very friendly. He's like 8 or 9 years old. The person who had him couldn't keep him anymore. He's very happy here. It's really a comfort to us to know that if we have to hold the cat for quite a while, and our oldest resident has been here since March 6th, if we have to hold a cat now, we don't have to feel badly that they're sitting in a kennel for all that time. We know that they're enjoying themselves. And they eventually find the right person. Some of them it takes longer than others. The cats do have climbing opportunities. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to be putting a catwalk up here so they can get up there, but frankly, even without the catwalk, as you can see, they can get up there by climbing up on the kennel. We have a piece of plexiglass on the top so that they can sit there in comfort on that kennel, and they do climb up there a lot. And so they have that in addition to the cat trees and so forth. And as I said, we will be doing a catwalk eventually there. Now these cats, I don't know who is up there. Oh, there's no one in the top two. I don't know who's up on top of the kennel. But anyway, I'll introduce the ones that I do know. There's a cat lounging in here. That might be Tiki or Molly. They're a brother and sister. They're spoken for. As a matter of fact, they're going to be adopted, I think, this afternoon. And then we have a kitty here, and that is that Roxy or Roxy? This is Roxy, and she's gone in to have a bite to eat, although we do put food out for them. And then of course this is little Ruby that was going away from us. And then we have Shadow. She's a Persian, all black Persian, and she was surrendered recently. She's about 6 years old. Tony and Cece are in the lower kennels. Tony is a lovely little gray cat. She was very frightened. We got her from a colony, and she's been with us since March 6th, but she's now quite tame, just a little bit shy, and she'll find a home, I'm sure, fairly soon. And Cece was in the same situation from the same colony. We really don't give up on them unless it's very, very obvious that they would be miserable staying inside, and then we do if we are able to put them back in the colony. Puffin came from the same colony as Cece and Tony. He's a beautiful cat. He's long-haired. He was in very tough shape when we got him. He was malnourished and did not look anything like this. He's very nice now, and he's pretty good at being able to pet and so forth. This is Snooky. She's a great cat. She was outside homeless, and a man called because she kept trying to come into his house, wanted to be inside. He had several cats and he really couldn't accommodate her. So, but she's now been spayed. She wasn't. We always feel really good about getting these cats off the street and in a home, and also no longer breeding. So they're much happier cats, and we'll have fewer of them. One of the things I'd like to end by saying that we are really happy to have this expansion for a lot of reasons. It makes it better for the volunteers, it makes it better for the public coming in, and most of all it makes it better for the cats, as I mentioned before. And one of the people who came in to adopt a cat from us said she was very impressed with the expansion, but the thing that she was most impressed with is that when she came in, all the kennel doors were open and the cats were out enjoying themselves. And you just don't see that all the time with shelters, and it certainly isn't the image a lot of people have of shelters. So we're really excited about having this opportunity.